Today on Weekend at the Movies, we'll be discussing what iconic actor could possibly show up in the next Star Trek film, problems with Power Rangers, and in our main attraction, we'll be discussing the Boxtrolls. All that and more coming up at Weekend at the Movies. All right, thanks for sticking with us as we do every week here at Weekend at the Movies. We'll start off with a look at this past weekend's box office numbers. And we had two major new films, I guess major, quote unquote, new films for this week, and that would be The Equalizer and The Boxtrolls. And The Equalizer came in at number one this past weekend with 35 million, followed by The Maze Runner in its second week at 17.5 million. Boxtrolls actually right behind it with 17 million. Then a huge drop off for the fourth and fifth with This Is Where I Leave You and Dolphin Tale, which are both under 10 million. Big drop for A Walk Among the Tombstones in its second week, a 67% drop. It's gonna probably creep up to its budget here in the next couple weeks, but a pretty big drop for a second week film there. I'm actually somewhat surprised, I guess, to start off the talk here, that Boxtrolls did as good as it did. I didn't think there was that much hyper excitement behind it, besides like maybe people like us. I didn't know if it would resonate with the masses and the audience that it's actually geared towards, possibly. What did you guys think as far as it coming in third, just barely getting beat by The Maze Runner?
Well,
No, you go.
I think it's like people are going to see it because it's like the only kids movie to see right now. Like the last kids movie that came out was Turtles, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, and most theaters probably are no longer showing How to Train Your Dragon 2. And that's really about the only other animated film I can even think of. So it's been like you said, like Transformers and Turtles and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy and that type of stuff for kids. So it's kind of one of the first going back to
2 months.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was worried that it maybe wouldn't do as well. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it did 17 million in its first week. Honestly,
That was my first thought when I opened up the results. I was like, wow, I did not expect it to make that much.
Right.
And it's probably going to stay there for a while because there's only a couple more kids movies coming out before Christmas.
Yeah, Big Hero 6, Penguins of Madagascar, and the Book of Life are, I think, the three main ones left.
Yeah.
So it'll probably stick around and do somewhat well here, I would guess, for a couple of weeks until, I think Book of Life is the next one coming out. I could be wrong on the dates there.
Yeah, it's like 2-3 weeks, right?
Right.
It's got to be before Halloween.
And Guardians of the Galaxy brought in another almost 4 million. So it's up to 319. Not doing too shabby. Not a lot else. I mean, kind of surprised at how far A Walk Among the Tombstones dropped. I didn't expect it to go below Dolphin Tale 2.
Which is in its third week, even.
Yeah, which is possibly in its next week going to make its budget as well. So most of the films out right now are not big budget films. I'm not counting going back all the way to Guardians of the Galaxy and Turtles, which were released 8 and 9 weeks ago. But everything released currently, I mean, they're all pretty low on the budget. So most of them are going to make that money back as long as they don't just completely flop. Any surprises from you guys looking at the numbers from this weekend? Nate?
No surprises. I do want to point out that our Hercules, I was about to say our Hercules, not the other Hercules. It's in its 10th week and it still hasn't made its budget, and that's sad.
Domestically.
Right.
That is sad, though.
It is.
No changes as far as the year goes in the top 5. I will bring up that Guardians of the Galaxy has creeped into the 34th spot all-time domestic. And it is only about $50,000 behind the original 2007 Transformers movie for the 33rd spot. So, doing pretty well, Guardians of the Galaxy. Top 35 all-time. Getting into some of the headlines, starting off with one of the things we teased in the opener. Information about Star Trek 3. Interview done there with William Shatner, about his possible appearance and kind of addressing the rumors of him appearing in Star Trek 3. Now, these rumors broke early in the week. He denied it at first, and then recently had some quotes saying, quote unquote, "I am calling because the director of Star Trek, the next movie, has had an idea where you might be involved, so I'm calling to find out whether you would be interested." This is comicbook.com, and J.J. Abrams calling him directly. Shatner telling J.J. Abrams, "It depends on what you do with the character, but I would be delighted." The quote goes on to say, "So the news is out that they have an idea that they want Leonard and myself. They might want Leonard and myself in it, but I would love to do it. But how do you get me 50 years later into the movie? I mean, how do you rationalize it? I know it's science fiction, but even I couldn't come up with an idea." So that's the news on that. So, I mean,
I got some comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, it's totally rumor, I'm sure, but I heard Shatner was really upset when they didn't let him do anything in the first J.J. Abrams one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember hearing that.
I think I heard that he was upset that they went to Nimoy before they went to him. I think there was something about that. There was something about Nimoy appearing and Shatner not appearing that hurt Shatner's ego, maybe?
I've always heard that there's some bad blood there. I don't know how true it is, but again, that's what I've heard. Another comment I got is, one, Captain Kirk's got a death already in the Star Trek universe. But guess what? In the J.J. Abrams verse, everything never happened.
True that.
So, he can't conceive of in a universe with multiple time-changed things that have happened that a second character can travel backwards in time.
Well, let's get one thing out of the way. William Shatner not being able to come up with an idea of how this is possible should not scare any of us as to the fact that that's not a possibility. Now, does that mean? I don't know. What else do you have, Matt, on that story?
Those were my two comments.
Gotcha. Nate, any thoughts about how many of the recent reboots have you seen? Have you seen both of the first two?
I've seen both of them, yeah.
And what do you think about him making an appearance in this rebooting trilogy, or however long we're going to go in this?
I don't know. It's fine. Whatever. I just like the idea of will William Shatner actually do this? It's of course he's going to do it. He's going to do anything.
Anything. He does Priceline commercials. Come on, guys.
He does a lawyer commercial for a Chicago lawyer for some reason.
Huppy and Abraham. My thoughts would be this. The second one kind of got the people that disliked the second one, albeit still not ever being able to give me a good reason as to why they didn't like it, except for that it was not original enough, apparently. And it stole too much from the old film. So will those same people be against Shatner appearing, since that's, I guess, stealing more and being too much of an homage to the originals? That seemed to be their issue with the second one, so I would think maybe they would be against this. But they're fans of the original one, so I'm guessing they're going to be kind of hypocritical in the sense that they're going to be like, yeah, we want Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner because they're the original cast. I don't know.
You're putting too much thought into it, Kevin.
Yeah, I am. I'm all for it. I've liked the two Star Trek so far. I'm fine with other characters from the past appearing. I've never been a huge William Shatner fan, but as far as them somehow weaving original cast members or more characters in there, go for it. I'm all for it. I'd be fine with it. I'm not gonna judge it based on that, I guess. Can William Shatner act? No, but his face.
I think he's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Personally, if you watch Boston Legal and everything after it,
mm-hmm.
I feel like all of the jokes about him not being able to act made him learn how to act in the 30-year interim there.
He was self-conscious. He was like, "Oh man."
I've also heard that he overacted for certain roles in the 60s because that was what they wanted and that he was better. I don't know if I believe that comment, but I do know that I've seen him do acting that is decent.
I love overacting. I don't know about other people, but that's my favorite, to watch an actor just
ham
go
it
nuts
up
with a script. Yeah, ham it up.
I think the gist of it is that he's just downright batshit insane.
There's a lot of that in Hollywood.
Well, all right.
So I don't care if he's. I mean, he has a style. Everybody loves it. He's iconic, and there's a freaking William Shatner Day, for God's sakes. So yeah, I mean, I guess he should appear in the reboot at some point. A couple rumors and stories coming out of Ridley Scott's camp, as if he had a camp. A couple films that he is involved with, both the sequel to Blade Runner and the sequel to Prometheus. News stories on both of those. First off, what do we want to start with? Blade Runner or Prometheus?
Blade Runner.
All right.
Because that's the only movie I've seen.
That works.
Ever.
He's saying,
Ever.
according to Ridley Scott, the script for Blade Runner 2 is complete. But as far as going ahead with that project, it's kind of going to be held up by Harrison Ford's schedule. Obviously, people know he's involved with this film called Star Wars.
What?
And yeah, so I mean, it might be delayed for a while he's working on that film. So maybe once he's done with all the Star Wars stuff, the script that is completed for Blade Runner 2 can start being moved forward on. And then another story from Ridley Scott, and then I'll let you mention or comment on both of them. Prometheus 2, suggesting that xenomorphs will not appear in the sequel. Quote, the beast is done, cooked. So what do you guys think about no xenomorphs in Prometheus 2 or Blade Runner 2 eventually getting worked on? Do we want that? Do we not want that, Nate?
I'm cool with Blade Runner 2. I don't know, but I liked Blade Runner 1. I don't know. I don't think Ridley Scott is amazing. Like, most of his movies are pretty good.
I think a lot of people don't think he's amazing.
Okay, I don't know, because I feel like there's a huge Aliens following, at least.
He's been hit or miss.
Yeah.
He's had some good films, and he's had some kind of head-scratchers.
Yeah. Okay. And I know Prometheus I don't think was that well received, at least when it came out. I don't know. But I haven't seen any of the Alien movies. The only movie of his, well, I'd have to pull up a filmography, but Blade Runner, Gladiator, yeah.
You need to see the Aliens films.
I do. I really do. That needs to be
rectified immediately.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think about did you see Prometheus?
No. I bought some toys from it, though, if that means anything.
Did you see the Alien films?
I don't think so. I want to say I was in rooms where the Alien films were happening in the 90s, but I don't think I ever sat down and watched them. Gotcha. They're scary, to a point.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the Aliens films might be too scary for Matt.
No, because I'm somewhat similar with Matt in our not love for scary / whatever horror type films. And I didn't think for a long time I would like the Aliens films either, because I didn't watch them right away when I knew about them. I was like, those are scary aliens, and I don't want to see them. But I eventually did watch them, and I actually enjoyed that series quite a bit, more than I expected to. And I think you guys would maybe like it more than you think you would.
I still think Matt will have a nightmare.
Well, then you can hold feasible.
I'm still willing to watch it.
That's cool.
And then he'll just sleep over, and then if you guys need to comfort each other,
Matt never sleeps over, dude. He's got other shit to do.
We'll drug him.
I miss having sleepovers.
It's a thing that goes away when you become an adult.
It's dumb.
Man, damn adults. First images arriving from Taken 3, or I guess how it will officially be known as TAK, the number 3N.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna put that even in the thing, but the news section. But I just think it was funny because they did it. They did what the Transformers didn't do.
I think Transformers would have been better than Taken, because it would have been Transformers.
Right.
More than one letter.
I just think it's funny when movies do that.
I mean, it was cool when 7 did it, but...
I thought it was terrible when 7 did it, because a 7 and a V don't look anything like each other at all.
It's Seven.
And even though it seems like this franchise is never going to die, quote from Liam Neeson, it's a rollicking good story, but I think this is the end.
I thought he was totally like, I don't know if I want to do the third one, and now I do the third one, and he's like, I don't want to do any more. So that's maybe the last one.
But it's directed by Megatron, so...
Yeah, I saw that.
Wait, what?
Olivier, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, Olivier Megaton.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like directed by Frank Welker or something. I was like, what?
And starring Famke Janssen, Forrest Whitaker, Maggie Grace, and of course Liam Neeson. So, Taken 3 with its new title and all that. I don't know. Like the second one was a far departure from the first one, and I guess we'll have to see if the third one's even worth a red box look at or not. Not necessarily one I have to see in the theater. Going into the next news story, some news about X-Men Apocalypse. Bryan Singer officially will direct that, so he is set to take the helm for a fourth time. And there was a couple different news stories that came out recently involving both Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg, who is developing a script alongside Bryan Singer. I wanted to share some quotes from Kinberg and some stuff he was saying as far as how it's going to shape up. In the news story that I saw during the week was saying that this will be the last film in this modern or most recent X-Men trilogy. So it's saying X-Men Apocalypse will be officially wrapping up the three films as a trilogy. Obviously began with First Class, and the idea here is to complete stories of, the younger versions of Raven, Hank, Charles, Eric, etc. Now, he also said that that it will be obviously the familiar characters that we're used to with from Days of Future Past and from First Class. They're also saying that, of course, there will be new characters, and the quote from Kinberg is, "New characters that we haven't seen ever." But the completion of what we began in First Class. Also discussed that, the ripples that we saw due to the timeline story in the X-Men series, seen at the conclusion of Days of the Future Past, that in some cases history has been entirely rewritten from the previous films, so everything's fair game. And the writer acknowledged that if they included any of the main cast from the first X-Men, that they will be recast, because Apocalypse takes place a good 20 years before the original first X-Men film. So thoughts of it being the end of this trilogy of movies. I didn't know it was going to be a trilogy. I didn't know how long they were going to do that. Thoughts of new characters that you might want to see in this, or thoughts about any of the characters from the original trilogy being recast?
Well, they've already recast everyone but Wolverine anyway, right? Because we got a different Xavier and a different Mystique. But, there's still the potential to reuse those. I mean, we clearly saw Kelsey Grammer and what's-his-face Cyclops, in Days of Future Past. So, they could just be doing multiple different timelines. But, I mean, they say it's a trilogy, but they're still going to come out with a Gambit movie and a Deadpool movie. So it's are they just going to start up a new trilogy after this that uses all the same actors anyway? And
just keep calling it trilogies.
It's a different trilogy this time.
It's like there's 20 X-Men films, but there's
yeah. Oh, we're just on the fourth trilogy.
What about new characters that we've never seen before? Which ones would those be?
And we're talking about never seen before on the silver screen, or
it
never
says
seen
new
before?
Characters that we haven't seen ever. I'm assuming that means from the first trilogy and so far in this trilogy.
I'm hoping that's what it means, because we don't need more New Mutants. We've got enough.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hopefully they're not creating characters just for this film, but if there was X-Men characters that we've not seen in any of the 5 movies so far, and I guess you can count Origins and Wolverine, anybody that's not appeared in those films that you guys would most want to see?
Long Shot.
Nate?
He's fun.
I honestly can't think of anything. I don't even know.
Did you ever read any of the X Factor when Longshot joined?
I don't think so.
Oh, so good.
So good.
I'm not 100%
else besides
sure he's a
Longshot?
mutant. There's guys that exist. I'd love to see them do Madrox, but they'd have to that he's already been done a little bit, and
they did him once, and he was like a cameo character.
Yeah, anything that they could use some of Peter David's writing, I'd be down.
Right. And I didn't realize Days of Future Past brought in $700 million when it goes to worldwide, but in box office.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that number, and at first I was like, wait, I'm sure both of those movies made more than that. And I was like, wait, oh, that's just the one.
Yeah, worldwide. That's a big number there. Obviously, I like what they're doing so far with this trilogy, if it is in fact now going to be a trilogy. And I'm intrigued about Apocalypse as a character and as kind of the main storyline of this movie. From what everybody has said about those stories in the comics, it seems like it would be cool. And knowing nothing about them, I'll go in, with not knowing anything that could or possibly happen or might not happen or whatever. And if they do show new mutants, I won't even know who they are. So hopefully I'm with you guys. So you guys can be like, that's that guy. That's who that is. And I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
I need to start like giving you comic books to read.
Yeah.
It's like a regiment.
No one else has done that before. You don't have a stack of comic books that someone gave to you as a present once before.
Oh.
What?
Dun dun dun.
Dang, dude, I know more about your roommate's life than you do, man.
He does. He's very observant. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I will read those eventually. And possible problems for Power Rangers. I'm sad to see this. Roberto Orci apparently dropping out of Power Rangers reboot because he wants to focus on Star Trek 3. That is right. He should focus on Star Trek 3 and make it a good film. And who gives a crap about what you're working with on Power Rangers?
Boo this man!
Don't worry,
the idea
guys.
of being like, you need to start working on this reboot and not that reboot.
Yeah, focus, man. Focus. One thing at a time here.
Don't do anything creative or new, though.
No, that's not his style. Orsi and Kurtzman do not do new things. They don't come up with new things. They just see things that they liked from their childhood and say, let us ruin these.
Aww.
Power Rangers, though, don't worry. It's still set to come out in 2016. So
Power Rangers, don't worry. It's already been ruined.
Who cares if they don't have anybody producing it or whatever? No, I'm sure, Nate, you want Power Rangers to happen, right?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
I just like that you hate it so much.
Well, I guess the 50th anniversary is 2016 of the Power Rangers franchise.
What?
What?
It says
Star Trek.
Oh, is that what they're talking about?
It's gotta be.
Okay. I was like, I didn't realize Power Rangers has been around for that long.
Man,
dude, like Japan's crazy, but not that crazy.
Okay. What's the show that they have had for about 50 years? It's the longest running show ever, I think. I'm not going to remember what the name of it is now, though. It's a cartoon of some sort. Anyway.
Astro Boy?
What?
Astro Boy?
No, it's not Astro
Gundam.
Boy. No, it's not Gundam either.
I was going to say, Gundam came out in 79.
Yeah, there's something that's been, like, it's had more episodes than Sesame Street, which is impressive. We'll think about that for a second. But getting into casting call. Dwayne Johnson confirms the Janssen directive. Akiva Goldsman is the person who is writing that. I don't really know much about that. It's Robert Ludlum's posthumous novel, The Janssen Directive.
Dude, it's got The Rock in it. It's important.
Yeah, I mean, he is... Well, you said Hercules isn't doing that great, but it's seems like a terrorist / political thriller type film. It seems like it's similar to like a role like Matt Damon landed when he landed the Bourne role as Jason Bourne. So now The Rock will try that same type of thing with the Janssen Directive, and I'm a fan of The Rock, so that's cool. Do as many movies as you can, including the Black Adam thing.
Yes, definitely. And now you know about Black Adam a little bit, right? Because you've been playing that game.
Because I have played Injustice, Gods Among Us. I don't really know much about him, but a little more than I did before. Anybody else? Nate, you said you'll watch it because of Rock?
I probably won't even watch it. I don't like that style of movie. I just like The Rock. Maybe if it looks good, if I see a trailer, but I don't know.
And wait, you didn't see a trailer? Was it? Oh, there wasn't a trailer. It was just news.
Yeah.
I made a trailer in my head. It's okay.
That's all right. I'll watch it. If you ever.
It's just The Rock, and he's running down an alleyway, and
I think it was a fire escape. Isn't he pictured on a fire escape in one of the pictures? The one picture.
So. Well, he takes the fire escape down to the alley and starts running, and then there's an explosion. It's a good trailer.
Someone has double crossed him.
And another political thriller that Nate won't watch, Oliver Stone's forthcoming film on the NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden, and he apparently wants the casting to go in the direction of Joseph Gordon-Levitt for Edward Snowden. Nate, you won't watch that one either, right?
Maybe. I'll give it give it a chance if it piques my fancy.
So
is that a thing?
Yeah,
is that a thing people
it tickles
say?
your fancy.
Well, no, it piqued it, and yeah, that too.
Wow. And to clear up earlier report about Idris Elba being involved in Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, apparently, quote, that wasn't true, unfortunately.
No.
So, yeah, they were saying that he was possibly going to play a Merlin character in that film, which I would have been 100% in favor of. But he says, unfortunately, I'm not in the King Arthur movies. That was a rumor that wasn't true, unfortunately, but I wish the guys a lot of success. So that's sad.
Wasn't there an actor that said he wasn't in a movie and then it was a surprise, you're in this movie?
That's
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, JJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that situation, though.
No, it's not.
How about this for a film I didn't know was happening? Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Yeah.
And
I thought those were two different movies.
No, it's a zombified Jane Austen film.
No, I've read enough pages of the book. I have read some of the book.
Gotcha.
Shortly after reading the original, I wasn't too impressed.
Says it's a blending of Jane Austen classic and Undead Apocalypse.
Yeah, it's sort of like the guy just took Pride and Prejudice and then every third sentence changed a couple words in it. Nice. Which makes it's kind of like he took a hammer to a classic and didn't pound out something that was better.
Yeah, this sounds awful.
He wasn't trying very hard. I don't know, it's kind of like he should have done what the dude who did William Shakespeare's Star Wars did, where it's created a new thing, blending two things rather than taking one thing and changing it into another.
Right. No, I agree. This is from the same person that did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, right?
I think it's the same publishing company, which wouldn't surprise me. It's the same writer.
Gotcha. Sure. And the casting news is about, for fans of Game of Thrones, Charles Dance and Lena Headey, Tywin and Cersei Lannister will be appearing in this. Lily James, who else here? Doctor Who's Matt Smith.
Ooh.
Jack Houston. So yeah, I mean, there's some names involved here, but I don't know. I had no interest for Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and I will probably have just as little interest in this. But Nate,
I enjoyed Vampire Hunter, but whatever.
You're allowed to enjoy that and not be ashamed of it.
It was fun. my Robbie took me and paid.
My Robbie.
We went on a date.
Aww.
Yeah. It's good times.
Getting into the trailer talk, we don't necessarily have any news stories about delays, but apparently some of these trailers that we're watching and talking about have been delayed because some of these films were supposed to happen in 2014, but the trailers are listing them as January and February releases. Jupiter Ascending was supposed to come out in 2014, but apparently that is not the case. Which ones of these caught your fancy, Nate, out of the ones that you watched?
Jupiter Ascending actually looks a lot better than what I remember from the last trailer.
Yeah,
because they're showing up a lot more of the CG, other planet stuff.
And I believe this is about the third trailer that's come out, but it's the first one that also showed that alien thing. Not all aliens, I guess, but that creature.
Non-human.
Yeah, that's the first time we've seen that, I believe. And I agree. This trailer piqued my interest a little more than the other ones did. It's science fiction, so I'm interested just from the get-go. But yeah, I mean, I like what's going on there. I want to know more about this universe they're creating. What about you, Matt?
I'm going to be the dissenting opinion. I feel like this trailer made the movie look less interesting than the other ones. The other ones made it look a lot more political and intrigue, and this one is a lot more heavy action.
I agree with that part.
What do you think about this, though? What if it's more of a blending of the two, and they just made a trailer that looked like that because Guardians of the Galaxy is the number one movie right now?
Oh, it's totally feasible. And it wouldn't surprise me. Like I don't remember when the pushback sounded around the time Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I remember reading that, but I can't say that there's any connection there. But I don't know. I feel like they cut it in a way that makes Mila Kunis look better than the other ones did. She looked really bad in those other ones. In this one, she looked a lot less dumb. I'm not going to say she's a better actress or they made her do better in the movie, but they definitely cut it better. I'm still interested just as much as I was before. I just think it looks less interesting than it was the other. Like, looks like a different movie.
And I can see what you're saying. Yeah, the first one definitely had a little bit more political intrigue type thing, which is what kind of made me interested initially. This is one of the ones I considered listing for my 2014 films most anticipated for, which I guess it's good I didn't list it since it's not a 2014 film. But I don't know. I'm hoping Nate's right that it's more of a blending of that, because I do want a little bit of the political intrigue, and I don't want that just to be kind of like a side story. I want that to be more of the focus with the action kind of going around that. But I guess we'll see. What other trailers, Nate, did you find interesting?
Big Hero 6 looks really good still.
Yeah, I think that has a shot of doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
They finally showed heroes that weren't just the robot and the kid.
Yep.
And I would think that this has a good shot of being the number 2 as far as the biggest moneymaker in the animated realm this year. I don't think it's going to have enough to catch the Lego movie, but I think it's a prime candidate to be the number 2 spot.
Cool.
But yeah, I think everything about that looks good so far, and kids are into superheroes, so I think that'll be right up the alley that everyone's about these days. What else, Nate?
The interview trailer is actually it still looks good, but I'm less interested in it now that I know more of the actual plot. Instead, because they're fleshing out the plot in the trailer.
What made it less interesting to you?
Like I don't know. Like the old trailer was more it was more vague about what's going on, and it's just like James Franco and that other guy Seth Rogen are gonna go kill the Kim Jong-un, and it's just like, cool. Why are they doing that? I had all these questions, and now that I know, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of understand it better. But I don't know. It's less interesting to me now
because
I had more ideas in my head of like what's going on, and like, are they like crazy, like agents, but they're just like talk show. They're doing their like, we're normal people in a interesting situation shtick that they like to do.
Matt, thumbs up or thumbs down for the interview?
I didn't even watch this trailer because I wasn't super interested in it.
Right.
Oh.
If Nate was like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna go see the interview. Are you coming?" I'll be like, "Yeah." But I'm
we'll
not.
see when it comes
I'm not
out.
excited. I'm not. I can't tell you last time I saw Seth. I don't know if I've seen any Seth Rogen comedy.
Whoa.
Like,
okay.
I mean, I've seen him on a lot of TV and stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen him in a movie.
We should watch.
That was one of his movies. Did he Superbad? I didn't see that. Or Knocked Up.
Knocked Up.
That was him, right?
Yeah. We need to show you. This Is the End, I think it's called.
Yeah, This Is the End.
It's where they play themselves, like James Franco and Seth Rogen.
Yeah. Everyone's playing.
He doesn't have a huge filmography so far. I mean, he's got 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Amy pointed out I have seen one movie that was him, but wasn't a him movie. Green Hornet we saw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I rather enjoyed that.
Knocked Up, Superbad, Pineapple Express, Funny People, 50-50, which was my favorite film from the year it came out. The Guilt Trip, and This Is the End, and Neighbors this year.
Yep, not any of those except for the Green Hornet.
I don't know if you're. It's not necessarily a comedy. 50-50 is more of I would say like a drama or a tearjerker type thing. I mean, obviously it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt who has cancer, and Seth Rogen's his best friend. But that is a phenomenal film for me. But it's not going to be something for everybody. I'll admit that much. But yeah, I'm not like somebody that like sees a movie and has Seth Rogen and I'm like, I got to see that. But I'm not like against him, so to speak. Like he's not bad, but he's not someone I get excited about. But,
yeah, I can get behind that.
Nate, any other ones?
The Kingsman Secret Service. That's looking good. Did you guys watch that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
well, I remember seeing the first one too, which came out of nowhere. That was one of the ones where we saw the trailer in the theater, I believe.
Yeah.
And we were all like, what? How did that one sneak by? And apparently it was way early as far as a trailer in the theater. Like, that's kind of odd for it to have been shown in a trailer in the theater as long ago as it has when it wasn't coming out for so long.
Is it from the same company that's making Annie though? Like, man, I was telling Kevin today, like, I think I've seen so many trailers for Annie, like not different ones, but the same one.
Same one,
like,
over and over and over and over and over.
So over and over and over again to add up to the time it would actually like take to watch Annie. Like I've probably seen 2 hours worth of that same trailer. I don't know why it's every movie. It's ridiculous.
And it's weird because some of the films you wouldn't even think it would be. Like, I understand like that we saw Boxtrolls and it was basically the trailer slate was all anything that could possibly appeal to a younger audience, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But they've showed Annie for some other films that I'm just like, because usually they somewhat go along with the style of film you're watching. Like if you're seeing a horror film, you'll see as many horror trailers as possible, that type of thing. But Annie's been shown for every film.
Like
and you might like Annie.
I feel like we've been seeing that Annie trailer since we joined the podcast.
It probably was on the first episode you guys were ever on.
It probably was. I was like, did that play during Chef? Did that play during Grand Budapest? I don't know. Probably. Man.
Any other ones, Nate?
The LA Slasher actually looks really interesting. Matt probably didn't even open it.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Not Ouija, Gone Girl, Dumb and Dumber, or The Interview, but all the other ones I opened.
Okay. The Dumb and Dumber trailer was just like a condensed version with one extra joke put in because it's like the TV spot. And it's actually worrying me because like the whole trailer was all the same jokes pretty much. And it's like, okay, you got nothing else for us. We'll see. But anyway.
Hopefully that's a good sign. It's better than if they actually did have a different trailer every time and it was all the jokes in the movie.
That's true. Yeah, because you don't want to ruin all
What about
the
LA Slasher caught your interest?
Interesting concept. Like, and it looks like it's shot like, I don't know, if the style from the trailer works in the actual movie and it's not just a regular shot movie, then it could be cool. It's a style and like the concept of killing I mean, Paris Hilton types and whatnot. People being famous for just being famous. It's interesting.
Fair enough.
It's kind of like sorry. It's kind of like the movie God Bless America, which was a Bobcat Goldthwait movie. Not that he was starring in it, but he directed it, and I think you might have written it.
He does a lot of really dark things.
Yeah, and there's just this guy who just hates people, and he hates like the culture that we've grown up around in, and he's just going around and like killing people for being douchebags. But anyway.
Matt, what about you? Thoughts on LA Slasher and then any of the trailers that caught your interest?
I think LA Slasher, I don't know, man. I think it's trying a little too hard, and I think it's like hammering its ideas over the head. And I feel like when it says like all anyone ever watches reality TV shows for is so that they know what to talk about when they want to talk about how they hate them. It's like, yeah, that's why they're making millions and millions of dollars. It's because no one likes them. That's a thing. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't really like reality TV show, and I don't watch a whole lot of reality TV shows. I don't think everyone out there is watching them simply because they hate them. Kevin, do you hate reality TV shows?
No.
See, you watch them, so like clearly they've got that wrong.
I hate some reality TV shows, but I am a sucker for most of the other ones.
See, other than LA Slasher, Predestination seemed interesting. I feel like it looks like a less good Joseph Gordon-Levitt time travel movie. What was that?
Have you seen Looper?
No, I haven't, but it looked really good, and I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, really.
It looks like a less good version of Looper.
Did you watch The Tale of Princess Kaguya?
Kaguya? Oh, the
The
Tale
of
of
the
Princess
Studio
Kaguya.
whatever.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli. I own almost every Studio Ghibli movie, and by I own, I mean I bought for my girlfriend. What?
You own it.
She's giving me a face. I have bought for her almost every Studio Ghibli film that's hit DVD. I think there's one that I don't have, the one that came out right before this. I don't know if that's been translated into an English DVD format yet. So if this comes to us, which it probably won't, the last two were up in Minneapolis, I know. One of them was in Chicago, but I don't think any of them have come down here. But if they do, I will go and see it because I like to support Ghibli.
Ghibli.
I'm really excited about the style of the movie.
See,
like,
that
it
was
looks...
one thing that turned me off.
Oh, okay.
Because it looks like you're watching a children's book or something.
Well, it looks like you're watching like Japanese watercolor paintings.
Sure. You're more arty than I am. You're probably right.
Like the thing is, it looks like Ghibli, like what a Studio Ghibli, like whoever's making the decisions over there. It looks like they're getting bored in a good way. They're like, man, we've been doing this style that is beautiful and amazing. Let's change it up, and that's what I love, you know.
Fair enough. Matt, any other ones?
Actually, one other comment. Amy thinks that that might be Studio Ghibli's last movie.
What?
She said she's heard that somewhere. I can't confirm it. I can't
that
point
is...
to the website, but that's what she thinks she heard.
Be a lot of people upset about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They want it.
What was Stretch about? I remember saying I was interested.
That was the limo driver.
Oh, like a Jason Statham movie without Jason Statham.
Correct.
It didn't look bad. Black Hack didn't really do it for me because I feel like I know too much about hacking and stuff and computer stuff that anytime someone tries to throw out some techno jargon,
technobabble.
Yeah, dude, I don't like you fucking.
There's a new TV show that's on there.
There's gonna be.
It got a lot of hate this last week because what was that film called? What was the show called? Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Something. There was some type of new TV show that just debuted that was about hackers or whatever, and people are taking screenshots of the stuff that was on the screen in a couple scenes and just being like, "This is retarded."
This is good.
My biggest problem with the preview for Black Hat was trying to buy Chris Hemsworth as that character.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, that's not what most hackers look like.
20 seconds into the trailer, when someone says he's gonna drop the big hammer, I died. I was done.
Dude, there's gonna be so many firewalls.
Behind like 83 firewalls, bro. Why can't I hold all these IP proxies? Dude, computers.
Of course, for people that like it and that want to go to the episode post and click on some of these trailers, there's a Kevin Hart one for The Wedding Ringer.
Looks hilarious.
Keanu Reeves in John Wick.
Looks hilarious.
For horror films, you
wait. John, shut up, man. I want to see John Wick in theaters.
I'll go with you.
Sweet.
They won't be playing. For horror films and people looking for stuff coming up, for trailers they want to watch in anticipation of the Halloween season, I guess. So you got your Ouija. You got Taking of Deborah Logan, which looked ridiculously creepy.
Yeah, that looks really dumb though.
Babadook looked creepy.
Babadook looked good. I think Babadook could be good.
I watched at least half of that trailer.
What's that?
I watched at least half of that trailer.
That's wow.
Impressive. That is impressive.
Okay.
The other ones, the only one that I wanted to mention that you guys didn't mention was Laggies or Say When.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's actually called. It has two names.
Well, it's on, Wikipedia is the end all be all for source material. But the page on Wikipedia is titled Laggies, and it says released in the United Kingdom as Say When.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason this one seems somewhat interesting to me is for the cast. I'm a huge Sam Rockwell fan. And then it has Keira Knightley, Chloe Grace Moretz, Ellie Kemper, and a couple other people.
Yeah, that was a movie I kept going like, Jeff Garland. Keira Knightley looks like someone.
Natalie Portman.
She
Natalie
can
Portman.
look a lot of different ages, though.
She looks exactly like Natalie Portman. I kept going, that's not Natalie Portman, right?
I've been doing that since the first Keira Knightley movie I saw.
Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know.
And interesting,
that was the first
enough,
one I saw.
King Arthur.
Another person that looked somewhat like those two was originally going to be in the film, and that was Anne Hathaway. But she
doesn't look like Natalie Portman.
She reminds me of Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley.
She's like maybe they're like in between, or like Keira Knightley's in between the two.
Yeah, but because Anne Hathaway was involved with Interstellar, she didn't have the time to do this, so Keira Knightley joined the film. I don't know. It looks somewhat interesting as far as just from an acting standpoint. I don't know if I'm huge on the actual plot, but I don't know. I'm not writing it off yet. I'll see another trailer before I decide one way or the other, maybe.
Cool.
But that was the only one that you guys didn't mention.
I thought about it. It looked interesting. I would see it. I'm not excited about it.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'd see it if that was like the only thing that was out, or something that I hadn't seen yet, but I'm not going to be like running the first weekend to make sure I watch that one. All right. So all these trailers will be available in the episode post. You can click on them, watch them, give us your thoughts on them, and we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the main attraction this week.
They've got the whole world in their hands. 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 They've got the flowers and the trees in their hands. They've got the sun and the moon in their hands. They've got the wind and the rain in their hands. They've got the whole world in their hands. They've got everybody here in their hands. They've got everybody here in their hands. They've got you and they've got me in their hands. They've got the whole world in their hands.
Thanks for sticking with us, and it is time for the main attraction this week. Starting off with what we've been watching, I will let you guys start with a quick discussion of the adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Go ahead, Matt.
What is it, for people that don't know what the heck we're talking about? Who's it done by, and what are your thoughts on it?
The Terry Gilliam action adventure comedy?
Yeah.
Terry Gilliam adventure comedy.
It's a historical adventure comedy.
Sure it is.
It took place on a Wednesday.
Yeah, in the 18th century.
Yeah, man.
And apparently, wherever they were, where were they? Was that England?
No.
Wherever they were doesn't fight back on Wednesdays, apparently. Like, why aren't you firing the cannons? It's Wednesday!
It's Wednesday. Because, Wednesday's the worst day of the week.
It's the hump day.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a Turk, invade on a Wednesday. Because that's what it was. But yeah, it was an adventure. It was fun. It's pretty slow paced, especially at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just I like Gilliam's work, and I wanted to watch the movies, and I knew from a different podcast that it was on Netflix. So I was like, why don't we watch it? And then Nate and I watched it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I
probably liked it more than you. I would say.
Maybe. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, again, it was a little slow at the beginning, but by about 15, 20 minutes in, I was hooked.
Cool.
As soon as they went into the past, as soon as like the actual Baron Munchausen shows up and starts telling his story, that's when I got hooked.
Yeah, like once they entered the idea that he was telling a story, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. He's just gonna tell a bunch of cool stories, and that's kind of what happened.
Kind of tells like one or two stories and then decides he needs to get those people back.
Yeah.
And then
But
it
it was
turns
really-
out the whole thing was a story. Like,
Yeah, well, it's good. It's interesting.
I witnessed maybe 20 minutes of it. And I will say it does take a specific taste in films to enjoy that.
Well, you saw at least the Robin Williams part.
I saw the Robin Williams part. It was cool to see Robin Williams in that. I'm not a big fan of that style. Or I like some of Gilliam's stuff, but not when it comes to the more Monty Python-esque type
British things.
Yeah, I'm anti-British. Not really. But so, I mean, I guess I maybe needed to see that film from the beginning to fully enjoy it.
I don't know if that had helped, but sure.
But if you're a fan of Gilliam or of that style, then it's definitely probably something you should check out.
Or if you like crazy rollicking adventures.
It's got a great Rotten Tomatoes score. It's in the 80s or 90s, I believe, when I looked. So I mean, it's generally well received for what it was.
It has a terrible. It made no money when it came out.
Yeah. None.
$0. Nobody went and saw it.
Made less money than that one movie, The American Old Boy.
Oh wow! Really? Yeah.
I just threw that. I made that up, but I think so.
Yeah,
Probably
I mean, like not adjusted for inflation, probably.
Oh yeah, probably.
And then we also did something that we'd been wanting to do, which was give another shot to Jonathan Glazer. I got the name right?
Yep.
Yeah, Jonathan Glazer, who was the director of Under the Skin, which obviously, to much people's chagrin, I did not give a positive review to. He's also the director of a movie called Sexy Beast, starring Ben Kingsley, and the three of us watched that this past week. And I will say that he redeemed himself in a lot of ways with Sexy Beast. Now,
He redeemed himself backwards. Like
it came out before, so in a backwards sense, he redeemed himself. I will say I don't know if it's possibly a reason why maybe that I didn't like Under the Skin as much, but he actually wrote and directed Under the Skin, where he just directed Sexy Beast. It was written by a trio of other people. So maybe that helped, maybe it didn't, I don't know. So maybe I like him more as a director than a writer. But I thoroughly enjoyed Sexy Beast, and I know you guys did too. Nate, what did you like best about Sexy Beast?
Ben Kingsley. He was literally he was such a good character in that movie, and it all like revolved around him. And what I loved is like even when it wasn't about him, or even when he wasn't on screen, it was still about him. Like almost from the very start of the movie. Like even when you've never seen the character, you have no idea what he's like they just mention his name, and then like how they react to talking about him at this one scene is amazing, and you're just like, ugh, it's so well done.
He is definitely the definition of a douchebag.
Like,
but even like more, he's ascended beyond douchebaggery.
I think
into
everybody
like a
in the
realm
film wants him dead.
Except one guy.
Everyone in Spain wants him dead. But like,
go ahead, Matt.
The scene Nate's talking about, where they first start talking about Ben Kingsley character, and then it just becomes really grave. Like, I was sitting there like, man, like they're all at dinner, and this is like a dinner situation. It feels like it's supposed to be dramatic, but it should have so much more drama. They could do so much more with this scene. And then, I don't know, a minute after that thought, it immediately turned into what I wanted and so much more. And it just got way darker and it was just so dramatic, intense all of a sudden, which I thought was a really a good turn.
Yeah, I mean, and basically like the whole opening scene, you're kind of like wondering what you're getting yourself into in this film.
It's almost like a comedy.
Yeah, with the guy laying out on the poolside. And all that, and you're kind of like, what is going on here? And then you're right, like they have that dinner scene, and you're like, not really going anywhere where I think it's supposed to be going. I feel like I should be feeling some different emotions and whatnot. And then, like you said, it just immediately turns on, and it doesn't turn off for the rest of the film.
Nope.
So I don't know. I enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed the acting, and not just from Ben Kingsley. I mean, the other people did a great job of framing his character as well. Nate was. Go ahead.
It's a perfect example of how Matt's always talking about how differently you can do a heist movie. This is a heist movie about this is a heist movie that's about the people that do the heist, not about a heist.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. About the criminals themselves and not about like the heist.
It was funny.
Even though there is a heist.
Nate was at the end of it. He's like, man, they couldn't really give less time to the heist than they did in that movie. And I was like, you know what? Reservoir Dogs has even less heist in it, but it's still a heist movie. And
we also had Ray Winstone, who some people might have seen in King Arthur, Beowulf, Cold Mountain, Edge of Darkness, and most recently in Noah. And Ian McShane.
Oh, who is he in Noah?
I don't remember which character. I just remember seeing him in there somewhere. I don't know what the character's name was.
Is that out on DVD yet, by the way? Side note.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we need a red box set for Matt.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he hasn't seen that. And Ian McShane, who was Blackbeard in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And we kind of forgot about it, but he was also in Hercules, which we saw with the one with The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
So it has some decent actors behind him, behind Ben Kingsley, or around Ben Kingsley, I should say. Was there anything you didn't like about this, Nate?
About the movie?
Yeah. Any nitpicks or anything negative to say about Sexy Beast?
It's really hard to find anything that I remember that no. Nope. Can't find a thing. Like, it's almost... I wish there was more time spent with Ben Kingsley, if that makes... Like, it's an hour and a half movie, right?
Yeah, and he's on screen for like an hour of it.
Yeah, and it's like, I still want more. Like, that's probably my only nitpick, is like, more Ben Kingsley, please. Thank you.
He was actually nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award for this performance.
Wow.
Lost to Ian McKellen from Fellowship of the Ring. He was nominated for a Golden Globe and an Academy Award, which he lost out on both of those. So I mean, it wasn't like this went unnoticed. Like, people realized that he did a good job in this film.
It happened to go up against the first Lord of the Rings movie. That's sad.
And he lost both the Golden Globe and the Academy Award to Jim Broadbent, who appeared in a movie called Iris back in 2001, which I have not seen.
I've not heard of that.
It also has Kate Winslet, Judi Dench. I've never seen or really even hardly heard about that film, but he lost to a guy from that film for both the Academy Award and the other award that I mentioned that I just completely forgot, the Golden Globe. So at least I'm glad that he at least got some recognition. You know, with a film like this, it could fly under the radar, but that is definitely a performance for the ages. I mean, that's an iconic character. Even though a lot of people probably have never seen this film or don't know what character we're talking about, like, that's a character you don't see every day.
Yeah. No, I'm totally like I picked it up for $3 at the used DVD store, and I'm so happy to add it to my collection.
Good choice. Goodbye.
Like, I will be watching that again before a year or two goes out, I'm sure.
So if you have your choice between Jonathan Glazer films and you have it narrowed down to Under the Skin and Sexy Beast, watch Sexy Beast.
No, watch them both.
No, don't do that.
No. I think everyone should watch Under the Skin.
And then watch Sexy Beast and feel better about your life.
And everyone should watch The Room at least twice. And at least one of those in the theater.
You have to watch The Room at least twice.
It's too complicated. You won't get it the first go.
It's almost like Under the Skin. It's too complicated. You won't get it at the first go either.
Maybe that's it. Maybe we got to watch it again, guys.
Oh, man. All right, we'll add it to the stack. It'll just be at the very bottom. Any other films you saw this week, Nate?
I watched Up and cried again.
I hear that happens in that film.
I can't make it through the first 10 minutes of that movie without crying. Like, literally, weeping tears. Like, I don't know. It hits a chord with me.
I'm so afraid of watching this movie.
I know. I need to see this too.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of getting upset just thinking about it. Actually,
You could be an actor that like could be good for the crying scene every time, and you just be like, that's right. I used to get that way with one of the Muppet films, which makes no sense whatsoever.
No, I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Like, I have trouble listening to One More Time on the Muppet CD. I told you I bought that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh.
And when they sing that like reminiscent song about getting back together, I almost cry on the road sometimes.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Man,
There's a similar scene in one of the first movies. I'm gonna get the movie wrong here, but shoot, I don't know if it was the Muppet movie or which one it was, but there's a scene in there that's, I don't know, for some reason it just gets me. It's just Kermit by himself, and when I was a child, it struck a chord in me too.
It's really weird for me though, because for some reason, when I see actors on screen, I'm fully aware that everything that's happening is from an actor, but when I see like a cartoon or CG, I'm like, that sort of idea all goes away, and so it's just the story and characters, and I get way more attached and emotional about cartoons than about real people. Does that make sense?
I feel like that's probably the opposite of most people.
I'm right there with Kevin. I mean, I totally understand and I get it, but at the same time, yeah, it doesn't seem like the normal reaction.
I don't know. I don't know what it is about cartoons. I love them.
Matt, anything
They're
else you saw this
fantastic.
week?
Well, I want to plug some things.
Go for it.
One kind of like a movie, but not really. Star Wars Rebels. The new animated series. It starts in like 2 weeks.
Oh.
But if you happen to have a subscription to Disney XD, you can get it through either the Watch Disney XD app or watchdisneyxd.com, something like that. I got a pirated version that someone posted onto the Yubel Tubles, and I watched it there.
Can you say that online?
They'll come after him later.
You
It's
say, "Oh yeah, no, fucking bring it, Disney. I ain't afraid of you. You don't listen."
You get a notification tomorrow that Disney's following you on Twitter.
Dude, I would tweet so many things at Disney. Let me write your stuff. I will do it for free. Anyway, so I watched that, which is, kind of more or less a tie-in to a movie that's going to happen next year. And I would definitely recommend that when it comes out to people to watch it legally and pay for Disney XD and see it, because it was awesome. And then one thing, not movie related, but I can't think of a better time other than right now to talk about it. Movie Revolt Dan, previously of the show when it was called MWire Weekly, and currently of Talking in Circles, suggested a number of podcasts on Twitter to me, and I put off all of my podcasts and listened to them. And I'm not going to lie, before I started doing MWire, I had never listened to a movie podcast before. Like, my first experience with the movie podcast was this one. Mm-hmm. And so listening to the ones he suggested, all of which were movie podcasts, it was interesting to see what other people are doing out there. And it was a lot of fun. So,
which one specifically did you listen to?
Specifically the Q Filmcast, which was probably the most interesting one. They all listen or watch one movie that's on Netflix streaming. So it's like, as long as you have Netflix, you can go and see it without the big budget of having to go to a theater or anything. That one was by far the most interesting to me. True Bromance podcast. Oh, I don't remember what the other ones were. One of them, Dan was even on. The episode I happened to choose at random.
He's done a lot of stuff for In Session Films.
Yeah, In Session, that was it.
And we've had a couple of the guys on from In Session on our podcast as well.
I don't remember doing that.
No, when Dan and I were doing MWire Weekly at the beginning, there was like 3 or 4 weeks where we had guests from other movie podcasts on ours.
We should be more social.
We should. We should reach out.
Oh.
We now are aware of your presence, other podcasts.
So come on, join our crew, guest a host, and plug your show.
Watch your back.
Watch your back, Jack. All right, then that gets to the movie that we just saw that's in theaters currently. Yes, all 3 of us saw a film, not together, but we all 3 saw it. And that would have been the Boxtrolls. And I guess, I don't know if there's necessarily a need to go as far as into what our thoughts were going into the film, because I'm pretty sure we were all somewhat interested and or different levels of excited to see this film based on the trailers.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So, I mean, we all kind of were going into this hoping that it was going to be something that lived up to the excitement that we had via the trailer. Matt, what were your initial thoughts going out of it, though, after the movie's over? What did you think about what you had seen with the Boxtrolls?
My very first thought was, that wasn't the movie I saw in the trailers, like, at all.
What
I
did
thought
you
that halfway
think it
through.
was? What did you think it was going to be about?
Way happier? I don't know, man.
No, I'm
Yeah, it was
exactly
pretty
where
dark.
It
where
was
Matt is
way
and what he's
more
describing.
brutal and dark and adult than I ever expected.
Yeah, this movie had all kinds of darkness and, like he said, adult. And it was about halfway through when I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is not at all what I thought this was going to be. I'm not saying that sounds bad. I'm not necessarily saying that in a bad way, but I'm with Matt. I thought this was going to be a much more, not necessarily funny, but happier, I guess for lack of a better term, cute atmosphere. Where I almost pictured like the actual Boxtrolls more of like in the yoke of like the Minions from Despicable Me or something. Where they're just kind of goofy and funny and fun to watch. But go ahead and continue your thought, Matt.
Yeah. Well, actually, that was kind of my complaint going out of it, was the last 10 minutes. The box trolls seem too much like the Minions from Despicable Me.
Yeah.
And they're like, their defining features were not prominent enough. They're like, defining features weren't prominent enough at the end to distinguish them from the Minions, which upset me a little bit. But yeah, that was my real first thoughts when I left, was this is not what I expected. But not in a bad way.
Nate, what about your initial reaction?
Do you mean... Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mean they physically look like the Minions? Or what do you mean?
No, like everything about it. Like, yeah, they did have like a roundness to them, and they had their own little language that was very similar to the Minions. Like, just everything about them.
Okay. I don't know. They feel so different to me than the Minions.
But I was
think so.
specifically
I think
talking
somebody's
though.
saying like at the beginning when they're just kind of more focused and you have more of like the actual like it's just a few specific characters that they feel different. But like you said at the end, when there's a lot of them kind of bouncing around and doing their own thing, it made it feel a little bit more like what he was saying with the Minions. I can kind of get that.
All right.
But Nate, what was your initial reaction?
I really, really like this movie.
Do you feel like it was what you saw in the trailer?
I agree that it was like probably the trailer is geared more towards the happiness of the movie, like when it's happy. But like, yeah, I'm glad the movie is what it is. Like, I'm glad it's not a super happy film all the time, and it's not super hilarious, and I didn't laugh out loud a billion times. But I am glad with what we got.
What was your favorite moments and or favorite characters from the film, Nate?
Snatcher, Ben Kingsley stealing the show again.
Ben Kingsley here on Weekend at the Movies.
Yeah, Snatcher is just such a great villain.
Did you know it was Ben Kingsley?
Know. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. Like he was really. I feel
like
it
was Ben Kingsley going in, or you recognized his voice.
I knew it was him going in.
Okay.
I knew Ben Kingsley was in this, and I didn't. When I walked out of it, I didn't know which one was him.
I forgot he was in it, even though I knew way before, like when we saw like one of the first trailers or something. I forgot. I did going into the film. I forgot who did any voices in this film whatsoever, and I couldn't have picked out any of them.
Oh, well, the one guy from Garth Marenghi in the IT crowd was so obvious.
Yeah.
Richard,
I
love his voice.
Whatever his name is. Yeah, he's probably my favorite. The actually my one of my least favorite characters was the main character.
Eggs?
Or well, like what?
Eggs?
Yeah, Eggs. Yeah, like he was like normal. He's like your kind of standard character.
He was a little too normal for his upbringing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was curious as to how he knew English so well.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a kids movie.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like the Ellie Fanning's character either, the girl.
Oh, really? I loved her.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked her too.
I didn't like the two kids as much as I thought I should have. but maybe it was more of the girl's design and more of the boy, like you said. Like I thought he wasn't box troll enough.
Yeah.
But Nate, I'm sorry. Favorite moments in it, if you had any that stood out?
I don't know. The big wheel of cheese falling down the whole city was pretty cool.
Oh, see, that scene was so depressing to me. Like, I get that it's a kids movie and it's all like a joke, but when he was all like we thought we were gonna build a children's hospital, but instead we bought cheese. Like,
I love that. Oh my gosh! Like, you know, they're throwing in little subtle, not really that subtle, but subtle for kids because they don't even care. Like, it's like social commentary, right?
yeah,
It's like it's like got economics and crap in it. I love it.
Way too much social commentary in that movie, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I thought it was cool, but I don't think it necessarily needed the point towards the end where he like just comes right out and beats us over the head with it. Where he's like literally basically talking to the camera almost and being like, it doesn't matter what kind of hats you have or what kind of boxes you
they
have.
They just stated the message
like,
right
you don't
at the
need
end
to do
there.
that. We get it.
But then, well, I still like the ending too. Like, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It was like super cool. Like the art in it is just astounding. And the artistry, and I don't know. This was a good movie. That being said, I don't think it's as good as Paranorman.
What about Coraline?
I don't like Coraline that much.
Really?
Yeah. It's okay. I felt it's too Tim Burton-esque. Like when it first came out, people were like, a new Tim Burton movie, Coraline, and it's like, no, it's not.
It's Boxtrolls currently has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it is getting a lot of mixed reviews. Some praise and some that are saying it's basically not one of the studio's best films. I don't know. I mean, I can see both sides of it. Maybe. I guess what I appreciate most about this film is the uniqueness and the not necessarily being a carbon copy of 100 other animated films we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that about it. Do I think it's as good as it could have been? No, I think there was some slow points in it. I think there was some points where some audiences would get bored with it.
Are you talking about specifically about kids?
No, I think adults too.
Well, yeah.
And then I think there was some points where you gotta wonder, it's a kid's film, so to speak, but I think some parents might have a problem with some of the things in it. I'm not saying I would necessarily.
The thing that was the weirdest was the cross-dressing.
There's the cross-dressing. I don't know.
I don't think that's the weirdest. I think just the general violence levels.
Yeah, there was some violence in this. There was some crude humor maybe to some points, and the cross-dressing and this, that, and the other. I'm not saying I would have a problem with it, but I'm saying I can see some parents being like, that's not for my kids. I don't know.
It was yeah, and it's so dirty. It's such a dirty movie. But not in the like I feel like everything is like if they
live in a sewer.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like everything's gross out humor. Like they're all eating bugs and stuff. And to kids, that's funny, but to me it's like what do you want to call it? They're
tropey, overdone?
No. Overdone?
Oh yeah, totally. Like the whole eating bugs thing, that was kind of old when the Lion King did it in the 90s.
But it's not done in the same way as the Lion King.
It's not done in a far different way either.
I don't know. I feel like it's just their culture, the Boxtrolls culture.
Yeah,
I think we could have got more of that.
Yeah.
Because my problem is not with the bugs being a part of it, and I thought what they did with it was actually it didn't upset me. Like the first couple times we saw the bugs thing, I thought that's cool. It gives us a little insight, and I thought it was somewhat well done. My problem is it seemed like that was one of the only things that they showed us about that culture, and they showed it to us 7 or 8 times. where I would have liked to see a little bit more to it. I would have liked to see more of the Boxtrolls' lives and what made them tick, so to speak, because I don't think it did a good enough job of, and this might be one of my biggest complaints about the film, and I'm not trying to say I didn't like the film, but I don't think they set it up enough with the Boxtrolls of, like, it seems like there's, and I guess this is getting a little bit into spoiler territory, so if you don't want to have anything ruined, you might want to jump ahead a couple minutes. But you know, they're kind of setting it all up to be like, oh, the boy is trying to convince them to not be afraid, to stand up for themselves, to you know, take action and not just hide in their boxes. I don't know if that was set up well enough, though. Like, I didn't get the feeling watching the first half of that movie that they were necessarily pushovers. Yeah, they're afraid of this guy who's trying to exterminate them, and they're using their best natural method of defense, which is hiding as a box. But I didn't get that I don't think it set it up well enough to be like they're still going out there every night. They're still trying to rummage through things and get stuff. Like, I didn't feel like there were these people that were afraid to act and to unify together and act out. I thought that could have been set up better.
They were only afraid of their predator. They didn't prove that they were afraid of everything.
Right.
Well, I think when he actually, like, the kid went out into society, he was afraid of everything.
That is true. He did, like, duck underneath, like, the carts and everything, jumped in the pickle jar or bucket. But I feel like that was just him one time.
Yeah.
But I mean, even more than just not knowing why they're afraid or whatever, like, before the problem of them being hunted down comes in, I don't know what their motivations are.
Yeah.
Like, they're just collecting to
besides
collect.
living?
Yeah.
Well, no, they're building, like, everything.
Yeah, why? What are they building? What are they building to? Why are they building?
Right.
Or even what are they building besides lights and a clock?
Like, see, I think the closest they got to it, I mean, they had the one character who was, you know, at the beginning when he finds the clock, and he finds the stuffed animal or whatever.
Fish.
Like, like fish. The moments with him was as close as they got to exploring any type of characterization of what makes these guys tick and what they're capable of. Other than that, like, I really think they could have developed it a little bit more. I think they could have shown it, because otherwise it gets to that point where the kid's like, hey, do something, guys, and they're not doing anything. And as someone who's been watching, you're kind of like, what's up with these guys? Like, I didn't feel like it had been set up before that they're not going to take action. Like, I fully expected them to do something about it. And I don't know, I just felt a little jarring at that point where I didn't understand I didn't understand what made them tick and what their personality traits were as a group.
Yeah.
But going back to something I asked Matt, what was some of your favorite characters or character in this one? Did you have any character that stood out for you?
I don't know. I liked the little girl and I liked Fish. I don't know.
My favorite. Go ahead.
I was gonna say those are the two that really stuck out to me. I do agree that Egg seemed a little flat or whatever. Like, also, I don't know. It's probably just me, but the way his mouth was always turned a little bit bothered me. No one else had that. Like, just
the way they
him.
animated his mouth,
like
bothered
his
you?
mouth. Yeah, it was always up, like, on his right cheek or whatever.
Huh. I missed that.
Like, just him. No one else had the upturned mouth or whatever. I don't know. It bothered me a little bit.
What did you think of the girl's dad, the, like, mayor of the town or whatever?
I don't know. I liked him. He was
his design.
Funny. Yeah, he looked great. And
I love the design of almost all the characters in this.
And the animation where he would tug on his mustache, like, the guys who did this did an amazing job animating it. No doubt.
I think two people that we didn't mention that were maybe my two favorite characters in the film were the, at one point, henchmen of the Snatcher, Mr. Trout and Mr. Pickles.
Yes.
I actually really enjoyed those two guys. Or I guess you can throw the other guy in there too.
Tracy Morgan?
Yeah, Mr. Gristle. But I
Was
thought
that
those...
Tracy Morgan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nick Frost, Richard Lloyd, or however you say his name, and Tracy Morgan, the three henchmen, I thought they added a lot, especially the two that are more so questioning who's the good guys and who's the bad guys and kind of how they play off that. I thought that was a good part of the film. I think if you take those henchmen out of it, it takes a huge chunk out of this film that would be drastically missing. And I also liked that this film did a combination. It's not just getting like a big name like Hollywood stars behind it. The voice cast is a good mixture of normal professional voice actors as well as some celebrity like we had with Ellie Fanning and Ben Kingsley, but and Tracy Morgan and Simon Pegg. But you have D. Bradley Baker, Steve Bloom, Nika Futterman, Fred Tatasciore, Maurice LaMarche. So you got a lot of like very experienced professional voice actors in here.
For as like many characters are just like, you know, just that little like chirping noises that they make. They're like, you know, I'm not gonna do it, but like I'm surprised they didn't get Frank Welker to do at least one of them.
It's not a Disney film, so he's not in here.
Oh.
No, and
Just
I don't
to
want to
comment on what you said with the minion guys.
Mm-hmm.
I like that the big brutish one wasn't just automatically the dumb one.
Yeah,
like he seemed like the smartest one. It's like that was a turn that they don't usually do with kids movies, and I like that difference.
Yeah, I like that. I also like Nate. I like most of the designs on everything. I like the boxes themselves and what was on each one. I remember at one point when they're naming off ones, or when they called the one like fragile, because
yeah,
a lot of them had stuff like fish and eggs and you know whatever. But there's like a fragile and a couple other ones that if you saw it, kind of were cleverly done and thrown in there, even if they didn't mention them.
I want to know what the
named
name of the guy
Sweets.
that had two boxes.
Oh,
I mean, the little box on top and the big box on bottom.
yeah.
I don't know what his name was, but I wanted to know.
I wish
Did he not have a little symbol on him?
He might have, but you would think they would go with.
I think they could have even done more with the boxes though too. You know, they did a couple scenes where they like built their own little stairway to get over fences, or
yeah.
I think they could have done even more.
See,
Sleep in a giant tower of boxes.
Until I got in the movie, it wasn't until the opening credits started going did I know that this was based on a book.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was either.
It's apparently very loosely based.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I want to read the book now, and I know that had I known that 2-3 months ago, I'd have bought and read that book by now.
Right. My girlfriend even asked me. She's like, "Is this based on a book?" And I said no because I didn't realize it was. My bad. What did you guys think of maybe one of the highlights of the film came after the film, but the end credit scene where they show the cameras panned back to reveal the actual stop motion process being done.
Oh, that's so intense. And like if you're
really
paying
good.
close attention, you see him change clothes like 8 or 9 times
Right.
in a minute.
And the commentary behind it is excellent.
Oh yeah.
Both the commentary that Mr. Trout and Mr. Pickles are giving as they're doing that is awesome. And it's the song that played during the film. I don't remember at what point it played towards the end or in the credits or whatever, was also very cool if you actually listen to the lyrics, and to how that kind of played in with the movie too. So I enjoyed those two things. As far as overall grade, Nate, what would you go ahead?
I got one more thing
yeah,
I
go
want to
ahead.
mention. This means nothing to you, Kevin. But the character designs reminded me of a way more cartoony version of the character design the video game Dishonored. Matt.
Say that sentence again.
The character design in this movie.
In the general, the movie is a lot like Dishonored.
It's
I
like
can see
like
that.
a overly care. Like
You know what video game this reminded me of, Nate?
what's that?
That game that we played that was free, Maca. What was that one? The Machine Machination or Machine Nation?
Machinarium.
Yeah.
It's called. Yeah.
It reminded me of that design.
A little bit, yeah. But anyway, just like the way that their face is painted, where it's like flesh, but it's not flat. It's like they have flesh tones, but then like if it's a guy, he'll have like a grayer, like shaved face tone, and then his cheeks are like rosy and splotchy, and you can see like vein, the art in this game, the art in this movie is amazing.
Well, it's a masterpiece as far as the actual work put into
Yeah.
the visuals. out of 5 stars, Nate, what would you give this one?
I like this one a lot. I don't know. Do me last.
Matt?
I'm gonna give it a. I don't know. I want to say like a 3. Like, it was good. It was entertaining, but I don't know if I'd ever see it again. I wanted more from a lot of it, which I guess is a good thing, but it's not a good thing when you're walking out at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's definitely worth a watch. Maybe even worth a watch in theaters, but I wouldn't be upset if I had missed it and saw it on Redbox later.
Yeah, I think everybody should see it, especially fans of the studio or fans of just animation or not animation, but of kids films in general, or fans of stop motion animation. I too thought it could have been even better. I thought it was good and I enjoyed it, but I thought that there was room for improvement. I'd probably be right in that 3.5 range, 3.5 stars. Not bad, but like I said, I think it could be just a tiny bit better with a few things tweaked and maybe a little bit more of the actual Boxtrolls kind of fleshed out a little bit. Nate?
I was torn between a 4 and a 4.5, but
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 4 because I like it a lot, but I don't think it's as good as Paranorman.
How about
Which
as
we
it
need to
stacks up
watch.
against the other films this year so far? How to Train Your Dragon 2, the Lego Movie. I don't know if anyone saw Rio 2, but Nate, you've seen How to Train Your Dragon 2 and Lego Movie? Where does this stack up amongst those three?
Man, I probably like it more than the Lego Movie, but less than How to Train Your Dragon 2. That might. I'm not sure though.
I haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon 2, so I can only really put it up against Lego Movie. And they're so different, but I'd probably put Lego Movie up a tiny bit above it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Matt, you haven't seen Lego Movie yet, have you? Or you have?
Nope.
Okay. Is this the first kids film you've seen this year?
Well, I technically saw Frozen in February.
Ah, gotcha. That film.
Did you not see How to Train Your Dragon 2?
No.
Oh, who did I go with that? I think I just
Megan.
went with Megan. Yeah.
That's a good guess. All right. As far as coming attractions go, there's a whole lot of stuff. We are entering the time of the year where Blu-ray releases are going to just keep ramping up as we get into the holiday season, as we inch our way closer to the Thanksgiving and Christmas time. So we'll have a lot of stuff coming out from here on through the end of 2014. Starting with a lot of stuff this week, with complete collections and anniversary editions, etc. I'm going to name a few of them just in case there's people out there that are interested. Speaking of a sequel that we mentioned, or a remake that we mentioned last week of Ben-Hur, Diamond Lux 2-disc editions coming out. The Audrey Hepburn collection. We have anniversaries. 20th anniversary Forrest Gump edition, 25th anniversary Ghost in the Shell, 75th anniversary Gone with the Wind, 15th anniversary Green Mile, 30th anniversary Gremlins, 20th anniversary Interview with the Vampire, and 20th anniversary Natural Born Killers. So if anyone's a fan of any of those movies, that's probably the best version coming out soon, I would guess, unless I would check them out. Sometimes these are the best versions and sometimes they're just a cash grab, so check them out and be careful with that. Complete movie collection for Leprechaun, extended director's cut for Once Upon a Time in America, Chef for
Yeah,
2014 releases is coming out in combo pack on this week, and so is Transformers: Age of Extinction. So those
Yeah,
are
Chef.
the two current films that are coming out. Any interest in anything that's coming out this week that you guys might pick up, Nate?
Chef.
Matt?
I probably won't pick anything up, but I want to give a shout out to Crawl.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Crawl's-
yeah, Kroll.
So and a whole bunch of Sherlock Holmes stuff from I believe the TV series. Could be wrong, but there's like 6 different releases listed for Sherlock Holmes. As far as theatrical releases, Men, Women, and Children in some places, mostly New York and LA. That's going to expand in the next week or two after that. The big release here for this week would be Gone Girl. Also, if you're tired of seeing the previews for Annabelle, that film's finally going to come out. So hopefully that'll end the previews for that.
What was that about?
That's with the doll. That's appeared in a different.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was gonna say it's a prequel.
Yeah.
Right.
Left Behind, which we mentioned a while back, is coming out. Drive Hard, somebody mentioned, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, is coming out. But the big one would be Gone Girl. Out of all the ones listed, anything that you're going to see, Nate?
No, I don't think so.
Matt?
Probably not.
Man,
thinking-
I want to see Left Behind just as a curiosity, but I don't want to pay money for that.
I know Dan, when I recently re-listened to, we were doing our summer movie recap, and so I re-listened to both my predictions for box office for 2014 as well as my mine and Dan's most anticipated films for 2014, and he did list Men, Women, and Children as one of his most anticipated films of the year. So I'll be interested to see how that starts, and if it ever comes to our area. I will see Gone Girl at some point. I don't know when. We might be bringing you another round of movie games next week, though, because it won't be a film that we've all three seen for sure. As far as the credit conversation, going back to last week, which we did have another section of movie games, our third version of that, and we were asking people what kind of movie games they had played before or anything movie related that they enjoy, whether it be, just audible games or board games or whatever. We had a couple of different people that had mentioned some stuff. Build a title. I kind of had forgot about that one, but kind of where you start with a title and you keep adding on to it. We actually had one of those going on the website for a little bit. So that's fun. You start with something. I'll use the example on the website. The person said, "I am Legend." The next person said, "I am Legends of the Fall." Next person said, "The King and I am Legends of the Fall," and you just keep going down and building the title off of whatever words that you can. So that's a fun one for some people, probably. There was another podcast that somebody mentioned, Doug Love's Movie Podcast, and a Leonard Maltin game. I'm not familiar with that one, so I'd have to look into that to see exactly what that is. Obviously, the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon got mentioned. So those were probably some of the main games. The other one was a variation on the one that we talked about last week. So if you want to get details on that, just go visit the episode post and find the post by Eric Hutchinson. He kind of describes a variation of the one that we talked about there. Anything else that was commented on from last week's episode that you wanted to mention, Matt or Nate?
I can't say anything comes to mind. The build a title thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was afraid of I don't know. I didn't want to look anything up. I felt like I could. I'm sure there's something going in front of big, but I didn't want to look anything up because I figured that'd be cheating.
Right.
So
and I probably used a bad one to tag on to the end because you're not going to be able to
Periscope
tag much onto Periscope.
I
I thought
but at the
someone
same
would be able to go to
time,
big.
that's like you immortalized yourself by ending it.
I guess. My bad. So we ended up with Big Fisher, King and I am Legends of the Falling Down Periscope. So that's fun. Anybody have a question for next week that they thought of throughout the podcast? Yes, no, maybe so. Nate, you usually have them.
No, what?
That one time.
That one time. I know it seems like we do this a lot, but with all the X-Men talk, I guess we could ask which characters that have not appeared in the first 5 X-Men films would you want to see appear in X-Men Apocalypse? Which mutants haven't we seen that would be cool to see on the big screen? I'd be interested just because I know nothing about X-Men, so it would give me some characters to look into to see if I would think they were cool or not. So go ahead and do a roll call of different characters that have not appeared and which ones that you'd be interested in appearing in X-Men Apocalypse. Anything else, guys?
I got a question.
Yeah, second question.
Give us your idea of how they could have William Shatner be in the third movie.
Yeah, because he can't think of the idea, so maybe we can do it for him.
I give another question.
We got 3 questions this week.
What movie, kids movie or otherwise, was totally not what you expected going in?
Based on the trailers or whatever.
Whatever information you took in was totally not what you were expecting when you walked out.
Boxtrolls was definitely that for me and Matt and I. And And I'll think if there's any other ones that I've seen that have been completely different, and we'll respond to that question on the next podcast, as well as give your responses to that question.
I got another
Which ones
question.
were misleading?
I got another question.
Dang it,
More
dang it.
questions.
I got another question.
Yes.
What movies make you cry?
Oh, that's a good one. What unexpected movie makes you cry, or expected movie, or kids movie, or anything? What? I mean, there's going to be some obvious ones. We don't necessarily need like the huge dramatic like
The Notebook.
No Brian song.
meant to be tearjerkers. We're talking about those ones that are kind of unexpected, or maybe not necessarily embarrassing that it makes you cry, but just kind of like odd that you probably think you're the only one that movie makes you cry.
I did not go into Up expecting to be sad that sad when I first saw it.
I did not expect going into the Muppets movie and have to cry.
Oh.
And I the only reason I don't bring up the exact scene because I don't remember. Matt, you haven't seen all the Muppet films yet, right?
Just the 2 new ones.
Okay, we need to watch those old ones. All right. Thanks as always for joining us here at Weekend at the Movies. You can call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. You can go to iTunes and do reviews for us because that'd be cool. And we don't have enough iTunes reviews, so we need those. Best thing to do would be go to geekcastradio.com, find the episode post, and join in on the conversation. We usually have at least 10 to 30 comments on each episode, so you can get in on those discussions and have some fun with other fans of the podcast. You can visit the Facebook page by searching Geekcast Radio Network, and you can get information on every single blog that gets put out or podcast post. Every time Movie Revolt Dan has a movie review, it gets posted on there, so that's the best way to keep in touch with us is on Facebook. Twitter is at Geekcast Radio, hashtag, I guess, WATM for Weekend at the Movies. I have no idea. My Twitter is at Optimus Solo. Matt, yours is?
At Fridley Scent.
Nate, yours is?
At Adolfo Shabadoo.
And also check out, if you like Matt and Nate, check out Rhapsody Cast and listen to that and give them your feedback on that as well.
We definitely need it.
Yeah, so that's it for us, and we'll see you next weekend at the movies.